All right, we are ready whenever you guys are.
Hey, welcome everyone. Today is Monday, July 18th, 2022. We're here for the Orange Township regular Board of Trustees meeting. I call this meeting to order. Ms. Kraft, if you can please call roll.
Mr. Grumbles.
Here.
Ms. Knapp. Mrs. Fowles.
Here.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Any, want to go to the foundation first? Okay. Are there any other public comments before we get to the foundation? Seeing none? Okay.
All right, I'd like to introduce, we have Chris Baker here, who's CEO of the Delaware County Foundation, here to just give us a quick update on some changes we're going to be making with the Veterans Memorial Fund.
Well, excellent. I want to thank you for the opportunity to join you today and to give you a little bit of history. We actually entered into an agreement in 2015 to create a Veterans Memorial Fund. So this goes back a little ways. Many of you, including myself, weren't around then. So this may be a little bit of news, but we actually created this as what we call a special project fund, meaning it's something that we envision to be shorter in duration. We go out, have a project that we help to facilitate with you together. And after a period of time where the project completes, it's essentially wrapped up and things are good. Well, our original agreement was for 5 years, and then it ended up being extended by another 3. So, in February of 2019, also prior to my coming to the foundation, we did look at extending that to April of 2023. So if we do nothing at this point, the fund will just convert to what we call it would no longer be a special projects fund. We call it a field of interest, fund. And seeing as that's, coming up, we don't have to do anything and everything's going to, kind of convert, to that. But in the meantime, we have had a little bit of attraction in 2 donations totaling $100,000, coming to the fund. So we're, excited to be able to continue to partner with you, and certainly are just looking for a, little bit of, feedback in the way that it best works and would meet your needs. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions that you may have.
First, I want to thank This Week News, Jim Fisher and Paul Comstock, both reporters with This Week. Their editor has kept tabs on this memorial project through the duration. I know early on in 2015, the political climate in the township wasn't favorable, and Rob Quigley started this effort with a group of folks, and he stayed along through the years, and we're excited to get to the point we're at now. But Jim and Paul and the editor there at This Week have done a wonderful job of keeping the public updated as we've made incremental changes. And because of that, we had an attorney who represents large donors and trusts reach out and actually emailed me unexpected out of the blue. And I didn't know if it was one where it was safe to click a link or not. But we've been the lucky recipient of a few of those emails, so I was a little nervous. And I responded, and sure enough, it was just a phenomenal gesture that we were able to get that money. That people are reading the paper, that they're staying tuned in, and they see this becoming more and more feasible and coming to life, and the support picks up with that. Everyone likes to see momentum, so I'm happy to have that. As far as questions go, for me, it's always just been the most cost-effective approach. the factors I mentioned early on, I think, contributed to a little bit slower process than ideal. But I do believe we're in the right position now. And a project like this, very special, obviously. And whatever we can do to partner and continue to cut back our expenses and move forward. We also obviously have the funds that the Senate Senator Brenner had earmarked and pushed forward for us, and excited about that. So I don't have any other questions. I know that you and I have spoken a few times via email, but anything that the foundation can do to help along the way, we appreciate the patience and sending us all the updates for 7 years. So
No worries. Well, we're certainly glad to partner on community projects, like this across the, the board. I will share one thing that I spoke with, Lisa, about. This tends to, special project funds tend to be the most at work, for the foundation, because we're receiving a bunch of gifts. Usually that didn't end up happening, here. So we actually did go back retroactively, refund, fees. And because the fund is already set to convert next year into a lower fee class, we've already done that retroactively for this year, as well too. So we hope that it will, continue to grow. The next thing on the event horizon, for us is making it easier for people to be able to engage. So we're going to establish a link that you can share out on your website where individuals can make a gift directly to your fund at the foundation, whether it's through the Orange Township website or something you share out on Facebook. So that will be coming hopefully soon as well.
thank you for all those steps you've taken. I appreciate it. I know you've got an organization you're running and that you have to fund. So everything that you mentioned is much appreciated.
Oh, we're glad to help.
The only question I have is on timing. With one of the things we're going to go over today later on in the meeting is approving the contract for the design work. And what I saw when I reviewed that is that we're expecting that design back to us, construction documents in the spring. So does the project need to be complete before April, or is it okay if it continues?
No, we can continue on. Hopefully what will end up happening with this is that there'll be such a groundswell of support that you'll have enough to complete your project, and then also a little bit left over to maintain it going forward. So the fund doesn't go away, excuse me, unless you close it or it exhausts itself.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yep. No, Chris, I appreciate, we've been going back and forth on a couple things, and just for information purposes, we utilize the Delaware County Foundation because they act as the 501(c)(3). I get that number. So any donations that are made to the Veterans Memorial then are tax deductible. So they handle that piece or that side of the equation for us. So they've been a great partner. I recently sent pictures, so they're going to personalize our site with them. So when people do click on that link, they will see, renderings of the memorial and things like that. So we really appreciate your help and support with that, and just being a great partner to the township.
One thing I did forget to mention too. I'm glad you mentioned the 501(c)(3) part. The attorney I spoke with, most of these donors that are donating, millions of dollars a year and stuff like that, anonymous donors, they want it to be. They want the donation to go to either a 501 or a direct cause. They were a little nervous about writing a check to the township and having it be, just consumed by the general fund, if you will. And as soon as I mentioned the foundation, and he pulled it up during our conversation and said, "This is perfect.
Right.
This is exactly what we look for with our donors." So, this makes everything way easier, and we'll cut the check, next week.
So you very much can give directly to government, but in my 20 years, I don't know anybody who has. Right? So it tends to be, especially in our county, much more fruitful if our endeavors are kind of partnered with the foundation. We've been so glad to be able to do projects all over, from preservation parks to the city of Delaware. Their fireworks every year run through the foundation, as well as the Hayes statue and the like. So we've been able to partner on a number of those. Another project, actually probably our biggest, was the Brown Township Hall was built through a gift from a donor who preferred to have that go through the foundation as well too. So we love being, that entity that you can partner with, and certainly as you're thinking about other projects and programs in the future, keep us in mind.
You guys just wrote down fireworks.
Yep.
We all did, yeah.
I wrote down Independence Day, fundraising efforts, fireworks,
How about
4th of
threes?
July.
Right. Yeah, that's that actually works out really well for them. It's a handful of local businesses that make pretty large contributions each year to to that. And I guess it goes back to shortly after 2008, they were going to have to either cut the display or make some serious challenges there, and the community stepped up, which is what we love to see happen. So we've been so proud to be able to partner with that. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out, especially right after your vacation. So.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. Well,
All
thanks. Let me know if there's anything else.
Sure will. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
See agenda changes next here in one noted. Want to cover that, Michelle?
I'm sorry.
If it's okay, I can
I asked for public comment.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
I can chime in on the agenda change if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
This is the addition of a purchase order blanket for fuel. The transfer of money was approved several weeks ago, and my mistake on the omission of the purchase order. This is circling back around and covering that base.
Do we?
Will that be on the consent agenda, or do you have the information for that? Oh, you do?
Yep, I do. We're good.
Can you share it?
It's on this one.
Oh. Okay.
It's $15,000 that for roads. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, that has been previously approved. So probably just crossing a T or dotting an I there.
Triple gas prices getting you, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Correct. And a lot of work getting done as well.
Okay.
Anything else, department heads?
The only thing I would like to discuss the handbook, but I want to wait until the full board's here to vote on it, just in case Trustee Knapp has concerns or comments that might lead to changes, because I know there was some potential feedback and things like that there that you were looking at.
Okay.
There's a way we can add that to any special meeting or before the full 2 weeks. I'd be happy to support that and get a revised announcement out.
I don't know if I'll be able to get a special meeting before August 1st.
I didn't know.
Vacation.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-251, approving the electronic record of the proceedings for the regular meeting held on July 5th, 2022, and resolution 22-252, approving purchase orders and then and out purchase orders and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Development zoning.
Good morning, trustees. We'll briefly go over the zoning hearings and meetings report. This Wednesday, July 20th at 5:30 p.m., we do have a public hearing with the Board of Trustees for rezoning application ZON 22-05 for a proposed tennis facility located on Green Meadows Drive. And on Thursday night, we have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. There are 3 applications for that meeting. One is an area variance for Nationwide Children's Hospital. One is a conditional use for a subdivision monument sign. And then the third is an area variance for an addition which is encroaching into the rear yard setback. That application will be continued at the request of the applicant to the August Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. And next week, Tuesday, July 26th at 6:30, we do have a zoning commission meeting. There will be 2 applications heard during that meeting, which were continued from June 28th. The first is a request for rezoning for 5 acres on East Orange Road to allow for 10 single-family homes in a single-family planned residential district. And the other is an amendment to a planned commercial office district for property located at 123 Hyatt's Road. There is one further zoning commission application, ZON-22-06, for a proposed car wash facility at the corner of Columbus Pike, US 23, and Lewis Center Road for a proposed car wash facility that has been tabled at the request of the applicant. They have yet to request it be taken off the table.
Okay. On the single family, if you go back up to the map, I was looking at that application. The far east, or I guess looking at it this way, the far right in the back, I couldn't make out what it was intended to be, the larger plot. Is that just like a turnaround or a great green space area?
So there's the 10 homes, and then the end, which is the south side of the property, that will be their dedicated open space. It's
Okay.
also where the power lines
Okay.
go through that property.
Okay. And then the road that we see, is that existing today? Like that is it?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Have they submitted revised plans for either of those 2?
They sent me one item to review this morning, but I'm expecting the full revised submittal by tomorrow.
Okay, both on the Plan for Land 1 and on the Hyatt's Road 1?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Say that
I just wondered if they had sent the revised
for the
plans
neighborhood?
for both of those 2 that they're going to hear next week.
Oh, okay. Tennis facilities?
No, the parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot. Okay.
Tennis facilities at this one.
That'll be on Wednesday
Yep.
evening.
That's also Wednesday.
Are we talking, so like when Nationwide or the more commercial partners come in for incremental changes, have we introduced them to the JED concept or discussion at all?
I haven't in regards to any BZA applications.
Okay.
If that's something that you're interested in, we would be happy to talk to them.
Yeah, I'd love to just make all the commercial partners aware, regardless of application status, or in some fashion, just a general announcement. But then also, as they come into the township, it could be a more direct conversation with that applicant. Hey, we have a JED now. We're looking to partner with local businesses in order to keep taxes in the township that are leaving, and that revenue will be invested directly in the township. And you look at some of the challenges that they're facing and that they're looking for: increased, improved thoroughfare, amenities, infrastructure, things like that's exactly what a JED's for. So it would make sense to have a conversation like that.
Absolutely. And we do have one resolution before you today, which is a resolution to permit Ms. Bonnie as Township Administrator to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation they will essentially pay for services rendered for an active transportation plan for Orange Township.
And that's to be used to help us determine where future bike and pedestrian paths should be, correct?
Correct, yeah. It'll take a deep dive into what's existing, what we can do in the future, and so on and so forth.
And then that plan will take about how long to complete?
10 to 12 months.
Okay. Thank you.
You called that what did you call it? Active transport.
Active transportation plan.
Yep, that's a good step for us. It'll be a massive help. Any other questions on that? Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-253, authorizing the Township Administrator to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Ohio Department of Transportation.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Right. Brings us to the operations report.
Good morning, Board. Happy to bring to you today a resolution to consider the agreement with the Edge Group for the design of the long-awaited Veterans Memorial. This is the culmination of obviously several years of work, as we heard a few minutes ago, and through meeting with the Veterans Subcommittee, or Veterans Memorial Subcommittee, rather. Excited to bring this to you. Edge was the original consultant on the memorial design, and the committee recommended moving forward with Edge due to their familiarity with the project and their history with the project, as well as their reputation. So for the board this morning, this would be engaging in the design phase of the Veterans Memorial project with a culmination, as Ms. Faust earlier mentioned, sometime in the spring of 23 that will culminate with bid documents and the ability to hopefully move forward with a contract with a bidder.
And is there any potential for is that just a worst case scenario timeline, or is that a realistic, feasible timeline, or best case?
You know, that's a great question, Mr. Grumbles. I think the unpredictability and the volatility of the construction design industry right now there's a bunch of unknowns. I think this is probably a safe guesstimate on their turnaround time based on their knowledge of working with their subs and all the details that are going to go into the project. That does include several meetings with the subcommittee and really fine-tuning a bunch of details as well. So there'll be a bunch of interaction to make sure it's thorough and you know, again, ready to go when it's time.
All that timeline, and appreciate all the efforts on this. I would add too that 2019, Ms. Kraft, myself, and Rob were working on the Veterans Rob Quigley Memorial. If you recall, a rating was actually done when this came to the table. And the rating panel selected Edge over several others as well. And so, you know, we've been through the formal process, vetted the potential, you know, RFQ submittals and everything else. What an RFQ? What am I? RFP? Or what is it?
There was both at the time, I believe. I think there was a RFQ and RFP. Yep.
Anyway, when we rate their qualifications, you know, Edge won. So they won that bid, and so even though it's been a few years, it's the right thing to do to maintain that relationship and honor the efforts that took place previously. That they all vendors put, you know, monies and time into submitting. So the 100,000, is that their estimate, our estimate, combined together?
Their estimates in the
89,720.
I'm sorry.
89,720.
89,720. Purchase order on the consent agenda was to add a little buffer in case there was an additional meeting or two, or
that's where I was going.
Yeah.
So you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, just any unexpected expenses, just to aim high and miss low, hopefully.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yep.
Clarity on that public comment. So
Yeah, we'll be setting up its own appropriation code so we can track these expenses. So we're going to have to come before the board here probably soon once we figure out how we're getting the state money and create its own fund, would be my guess. So.
And I'll add, Mr. Grumbles and Ms. Faust too, the Edge is equally excited to pick up the project where they left off and remain engaged to see this thing through. So it's a potentially a very good partnership, and you know, mutual interest in seeing this thing through is good.
I spoke with Ted and Brooks quite a bit in the past. So I know that Ted especially was eager to maintain efforts on this and committed to doing everything that they could to save us, you know, to work efficiently and come in at a very reasonable rate expenses, and even contribute a little bit as much as they could to the cause. So they're good partners.
So Silas, so then this authorizes to move forward with them. What's their timeline to have a bid package together?
Spring of 23.
The package will be done?
Correct.
Okay. Hopefully sooner.
Hopefully sooner. That would be ideal.
Yeah, that would be.
There's just a lot of question marks throughout the industry right now. It's very unpredictable. So hopefully their time frame is a worst case scenario. Hopefully they can under promise and over deliver on the timeline.
Yep.
But the packet will allow us to, it'll be a complete package, so we'll be well suited to go. And if the only other thing I would say is, if we get components of this work done that allow us to move into next phases in other areas versus having 20 things done and collectively delivered, if 10 get done or 5 get done, and we can start preparing and moving and incrementally kind of keeping momentum going, it would be worthwhile to consider that approach too.
Yeah.
So the design component comes out, we can market that more effectively, start looking at fundraising based on what we know at the time, that kind of thing. Okay. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-254, authorizing the Director of Operations to enter into an agreement with the Edge Group Incorporated and agree to authorize the issuance of a $100,000 purchase order for the design of the Orange Township Veterans Memorial.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Chief, I know there's nothing on the agenda. Do you have any comments or anything you'd like to share?
Not really, sir. We are doing a hiring board next week. We have 19 candidates to fill 2 full-time spots. So, and then a couple weeks after that, we'll do a part-time. Look for some part-time. We've had a couple part-timers get jobs and leave. So, but we also have about 18 of those candidates also. So we're gonna wait for a couple weeks. And then we're also looking into a gear rental program for the part-timers. So that way we're not buying gear that's fitted for those people. It's a rental that as long as they're with us, you pay. And then when they leave, it's not gear that, okay, now it doesn't fit anybody. We're looking into the financial, how that'll work, and different ideas. So
Thank you for that. I know the turnout gear is pretty expensive. But
it really is. And the good thing with the part-time, I mean, when we have someone that's committed, that's going to be, we have 2, well, one right now that he's with full-time somewhere else, but he's staying part-time with us. So people who commit like that, it's a little easier to buy gear for because we know they're going to be there. But the people who come to get in the system and then when they get hired, unfortunately, we got a couple part-timers I'm hoping that we'll have positions for when they're done with their medic school, because they're very good hard chargers that we want to keep. But usually when they get offered a job, they go. So we've had difficulty with gear, their PPE, because it's measured to them. It has to be. And then if you have a really smaller person, finding someone to fit that might not be that easy. So it's a different things we're looking at to hopefully make it a better program.
That's great. Appreciate the initiative there. And I do want to comment too on the last few times you've posted, just the number of applicants coming in. It's a change. It's new, and it speaks to we're getting around the community on the measures and the leadership you've implemented there, the improvements you've made in the culture with the team. And wanted to take a minute to recognize that again. I've done it a few times, but it's always worth doing. And the rest of the fire department leadership, officers and enlisted, if you will, it's a palpable difference that you can feel when you're there versus when I first came on as a board member. When I see them out in the community and I say hi, I was talking on the phone with Miss Bonnie and came across a couple folks at Kroger picking up food for the day, and just a quick hello and check in. But they're engaging. I'm watching them go through the parking lot, give little kids a head rub and a sticker and high fiving them. And that's the culture and the attitude and the climate that I think we all really wanted to see and the residents appreciate. You've done a phenomenal job. There were a couple of former firefighters that reached out to me, trying to help me understand what was going on prior to your arrival. Insight and just information. It was unsolicited. I just got a random message and, hey, just so you know, this is kind of what's going on. And since your arrival, I've heard from one of them on, man, I wish I would have stuck around. You know, he left the department, and everybody keeps talking about how great it is now and how good everything's going. Wish I could get back in. Wish I would have stuck around. Now it's so competitive, and so I'm hearing it from the street, if you will, the ground level, and that's always the best feedback. That means the most. Keep up the good work. We're grateful to have you here.
I appreciate it, sir. I can't take the credit. I have a lot of good men and women that are working every day doing the job and are really the ones I'm just managing basically. So they're doing a great job. But I will say also, I think as a township, the changes I've made, even in this room and as a whole, I think it's gone a long way. We're making sure that we are properly taking care of our employees, taking care of our, whether through pay and benefits. And I think that also attracts a lot of people. If you want the best people, you got to make sure they're repetitive. And I think that as a whole, everybody sitting around these tables right now has done a great job to make sure that we are staying at the top. So I think there's a lot of people that deserve credit, but I do appreciate your words.
Well, thank you for the update.
How many part-time firefighter positions do you think you'll have?
Possibly looking at about 8. I have 2 to 3 right now, depending on if one does leave for Memphis. He's trying to get on with Memphis. Pretty good. He probably will. So I have 12 slots that normally I would like to keep part-time, but so probably about 8.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Fiscal Officer Grant.
Okay, just a couple things today. Our June 30th, 2022 financial report. Our ending cash balance was $26,359,453, which includes investments of about $10.2 million with Fifth Third and $12.5 million with Star Ohio. Our fund balances, general fund is at $7.5 million, roads at $2.8 million, fire at $6.4 million, and parks at $5.2 million. Expenses through June 30th, $8.9 million, tax revenue at $9.1 million. So we're running about flat. Right now, we don't have our big road expense bills yet, so those usually come in August or September, if memory serves me. So we'll have some big hits to that fund, and then we also will have the retro pay for fire that will have a hit to your fund also, Chief. So just a couple things, on the horizon to think about. We did get our ARP funds last week, the other $1.58 million, I think it was. So that will be reflected on next month's report. Okay, and then Robin, you'll have to help me with this next item. Any questions on the financials?
No, I just think it's worth mentioning based on the press release that came out with the county too, the concern over finances and the appearance that local government is hoarding cash or has more money and should be doing things with that. You do a great job when you're presenting this of saying, hey, this is where the fund balance is, right? Mm-hmm. But we have periodic expenses that come in. It's not like going to the grocery store and debiting your account real time in local government. So we have periodic bills and things like that come in to reduce our fund levels. And as you heard, we're expecting and running pretty flat from a revenue and expense standpoint. The investments are obviously just that, and I hope that the constituents and residents applaud, the fact that we're putting money in and investing it for the sake of the community. So it's just important to note, because I think sometimes people hear these large numbers and well, what are we doing with all that money and why are our taxes so high? Well, that money is earmarked to be spent as part of a general fund or a roads fund or a fire fund. It's dedicated for those causes, and as those expenses come in, it will go down. So I appreciate you bringing that up and being thorough.
No problem. The next item is follow-up from 2 or 3 meetings ago, the abatement for that nuisance property that the board approved moving forward with, I guess remediating, whatever you want to call it, mowing basically, over on Aurora Avenue. So the bill came in, so this is the next step. And once this is approved, then I'll send it over to the auditor's office to get the lien in place. So I think they only place those once a year, and I think it was due by like June 15th to be on this tax year bill, but it will be lined up for the next bill.
But the property is being maintained now.
So I had their neighbor reach out to me, and the property owner came back and did some cleanup themselves and was mulching, and so they're back in town. So hopefully it should be a one-time thing we had to go out and do. So if, say, perhaps someone were to sell, who's going to take the hit for this? The future owner, or?
He should owe it. I mean, if he's back in town, is there any reason he can't just pay us for that? We have to go through this.
We don't have any communication with the property owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nope, that's fine then.
This is typically one that will come up from the buying agent when they do a search for liens and things like that. It'll show up, and then typically they expect, we have a realtor here too present that can speak to this, but typically they expect I think the selling party to reconcile and take care of any liens or anything like that in order to allow the transaction to move forward. But I'm fairly certain this would be on the lien search and the title search work that comes back. So,
And I don't know what they're doing for sure.
yeah. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-255, approval of report on cost to abate nuisance pursuant to revised code 505.87 on real property located at 1915 Aurora Avenue, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035.
Second?
Mrs. Bowles?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Robin, do we need 2 copies of this sign? Is that why there's 2?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have this filled out for you trustees and fiscal officer to sign after the meeting.
Thank you.
Anna, you're up.
Oh, yes. I only have one item under the administrative report, and this is in regards to amending our IT contract with Delaware County IT Services. There's 3 big changes that are shared in the backup items with the trustees today. Those 3 include part of obtaining cybersecurity insurance. We need to have multi-factor authentications in place, so we had to amend our contract to initiate that, which we would probably see in the next few weeks. I've seen some of that in the works now, so that amendment shows that we will have MFAs in place. The second amendment is in regards to Office 365. Microsoft is pushing organizations to move towards Office 365, so we need to, I guess, continue with the times, and that should be implemented in the next few months. That will be more of a cloud-based program for our emails and files, etc. And then the last component to the amendment is to initiate, or I don't want to say initiate, to continue implementing OnBase services. So OnBase is a software we purchased a couple years back regarding archiving our files. So with our document conversion services that the board approved earlier this year, we need to have OnBase in place to transfer those digital files into the system. So that is scheduled to be live by October this year, according to the amendment.
Great. So Delaware County can help with that. Yes.
And we visited with our I guess we call it archiving vendor. Is that fair?
Did you go out there too?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's a wonderful facility. the care and I guess the detail was, I know Ms. Bunting, Val Bunting went with me, and just to see the way that they're handling the historical documents. Some of them were extremely fragile, but they have the right equipment in place. The leadership team was wonderful, high energy, really appreciated how the senior leadership was engaged with the people in the operation and how they treated them. So I feel like they're a great partner, a great company, and excited. They did mention as well with OnBase, they have some specific expertise if we need any help or assistance there, and shared several of the different features that would potentially benefit us in helping streamline our from zoning on out operations in general. With their scanning software and kind of what OnBase has to offer, there's a tremendous amount of potential there. So I'm excited to work with them in combination with the county. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-256, approving an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Delaware County Automatic Data Processing Board and the Delaware County Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Do you have anything you want to share on the handbook at all?
Just to give you a background on the process, so Mike Kremnitzer and I established a handbook committee in January of this year, and we met almost weekly for a couple hours. So this was a very intensive project. We really did start from scratch for the most part, since our current handbook to this day is from 2014. So there's a lot that has been changed since then. So we really appreciate the committee's feedback, and then the board as well, as we've been able to seek input, including our fiscal officer, and we're happy with the product that we have today. But I understand to have the full board here for approval.
Did you get any feedback from Ms. Knapp at all?
I did not.
Okay. I'm fine with moving forward then, if you are.
Yep. I had a chance to review it.
I met with
They made the changes we want. I was
Yep.
looking for.
Yep, I met with the team, and then from the changes we discussed, Ms. Bonnie, I know that the effort from the team was tremendous, and even after we met, we went over quite a bit. I don't want to continue to delay this. The main concerns I had were around when we have exempt, non-exempt, and just really understanding as a collective leadership team what that means, and that we're using those roles and what they entail appropriately. And my understanding is the changes we discussed were implemented.
Yes.
And so I don't have any other concerns with that. Ms. Kraft, do you have any concerns?
No, I mean, I met with them for a couple hours to review all my comments, and I think
we were successful in addressing everybody's comments. I think specifically for the benefit side or the vacation leave, I think everybody had a different opinion, but we tried to merge them all together. I think we're happy with the outcome. Mike, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think we did. We considered, I think, everyone's perspectives in depth, and I think the product
Who won though?
It's a flip a coin. No, but I think in today's ultra competitive market, to be competitive in recruitment and retention regarding those specific policies is incredibly important. And I think we struck a good balance between the competing views and being fiscally responsible. I think we have a good balance, and I'm excited about the project. And to Ms. Bonnie's point, we had a lot of feedback, and I'm really thankful for the committee.
And I think most people in the community too, just from an objective kind of common sense approach, right? They would understand that you can't effectively recruit a very accomplished or seasoned, person in a role. You're not going to compete for that individual. And there's times like with you, your role's a great example, where we needed somebody that could come in and contribute immediately, and you've done that. And if we're going to compete for that level of talent and bring the best and brightest into Orange Township, we've got to have recognition of all the past work and effort that they've done in their career. So I think it puts us in a good spot.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
I guess, as far as fiscal, because we're our own entity, do we then need to do something similar at the next meeting to adopt?
No, the resolution is for all employees.
Okay.
So previously there was a fiscal office handbook and then a township staff, but according to our council, we can be combined as one,
You're no
unless you
longer
want
on
a
an island.
separate one.
Yeah.
Uh,
You are now a peninsula. Thank global warming. There's
And
less
anything
water.
related to the trustees having any type of approval or authorization, the fiscal officer is also named in this for your staff.
Which I think is appropriate. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been a phenomenal partner. The level of detail and the lens that you bring to our group, I can't thank you enough. I know at times it hadn't felt that appreciated by everyone collectively, but I certainly appreciate it and your dedication and partnership, not just in the handbook or other areas, but it's really a unique skill set. I like to consider myself detail oriented at times or analytical. You're a whole nother level, which is good to have because it ensures that if we're not, when you bring things up, everyone, I may have overlooked that, but understanding the ramifications from your business background, and certainly with your focus on the fiscal front, making sure we understand the risk is critical. It's what the design of the board and fiscal office is intended to be, and you're doing it. So, and going above and beyond, not to mention projects, the Veterans Memorial Project's a great example, but I'm grateful that you're here and want to publicly say that, and nobody else I'd rather serve with. So thank you for all of your work. And the fact you spent 2 hours investing time, I probably spent an hour with you all, just to put that in perspective. I mean, it speaks to your dedication to the community. So I hope the residents understand what a great job you're doing. I know the fiscal office at times isn't, the papers and whatnot like to focus on the board, and you got to make sure that we're sharing the work and the contribution that you're making to our township, and it's tremendous. It really is.
Thank you very much. I enjoy working with the board, so we got a great team here.
And your team is phenomenal too. You've got a
They
great
are.
staff.
They are.
So, make a motion to approve Resolution 22-257, resolution authorizing the adoption of the Orange Township Handbook 2022.
And real quick, what date is that effective?
July 27th.
July 27th.
Effective July 27th.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. This, again, it's a huge endeavor, and we are excited to have our new handbook. And thanks all of the staff for contributing. We really appreciate it.
Right. I think no old business. Any new business?
Nope.
What's left? Executive session?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-258, enter into executive session.
Second?
To consider the promotion or compensation of a public employee.
Second?
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Invited to attend would be, would you like Robin to come?
And Silas.
Robin, Silas, Mike, Michelle, and the board and fiscal office.
Okay, we are back on.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-259, return to regular session.
Second?
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
In executive session, we discussed promotion and compensation of a public employee. Any questions before we get into the resolution? No? Right. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-260, establishment of compensation for zoning inspector Brett Weinken.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-261, resolution temporarily increasing administrative assistant Kimberly Mahaney's hourly rate of pay.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right, there's one thing under agenda changes I forgot to bring up. No formal action today, but I did want to present to the team so as to not be a surprise at the next regular board meeting or even the August 3rd special meeting. Around disc golf, there continues to be some outreach efforts from constituents about the course we had here. I did share concern over parking lots and runners and things of that nature. So they're doing some work on that and revising potential layouts so that there's no issue with a temporary course. And want the team to start thinking about a temporary placement of some sort that the folks would provide to get feedback and kind of a sense of if it would be able to be more permanent, how disruptive it is, if there's conflict between existing park offering and disc golfers, if there's parking issues, if there's dings that are happening or windows or whatever have you. But just a working effort around that, just consideration for that, and then we can talk about that between now and then at the subsequent board meeting, just to see if there's an appetite for it and get that back on the surface. I know I did share with one resident about the parks master plan coming up August 3rd, and making sure that we stay true to the work we've done and kind of reference that as we move forward with parks and amenities. So I didn't want to surprise anyone there or catch them off guard. Other than that, I have nothing. No. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-262, meeting adjournment.
Second?
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
All right, meeting adjourned.